Well, hey, I'm back. Yay, for another episode of Damien Ruins Horror Movies. Hi, it's me, Damien. I will start this off by not talking about the movie, it's not a mystery, that you clicked on, No Vacancy from 2012, not to be confused with the movie Vacancy from 2007 that starred Luke Wilson and Kate Beckinsale, was it? I think. I like that movie. Except I didn't like, if you read the back, it tells you the whole plot of the movie. And I think the movie would have been a lot better if you found that out as you went. But I did watch, finally I watched Brightburn, which I had known about that movie since before it hit the theater. I saw the trailer. And I was never gonna, I don't go to the theater that much. But I did I really wanted to watch that movie, and then I was going to get it when it hit the Redbox, or I was really going to buy it. Then it was in Redbox, and I was going to do it. Finally, it's on Stars, and I'm doing this little, Stars are cool sometimes where they have this little $5 a month sale, so I'm going to have them for 3 months. $5 a month for 3 months, and they have like 3 movies on there I want to watch. They have Brightburn, which they just got. They have the Psycho remake with Vince Vaughn that I just kind of want to see because I saw it once when it first came out. Maximum Overdrive and the original, the John Carpenter Thing from 1982, 81, something like that. So it's not like a wonderful time to have Stars, but they got Brightburn. And of course they got Brightburn. I had gift cards from Christmas. So I had my cart all set up, and I had like $50 to spend, and I came to, I ended up with $51.50 total, but I had Brightburn was in there, and then some other stuff, and I didn't do it because I didn't want to link my credit card back up to my Amazon account because I was having hacking problems. So I was like, I don't want to go over 50 if I don't have to, but there wasn't anything for $1.50 I had in there that I could just be like, well, I'll just take out this $1.50 sucker, and then it'll be $49.99. But then like a day or two later, I was just kind of forgot about it. And I look on Stars and there's Brightburn, just like when I buy stuff, it magically appears. I don't know, when there's a hard to find DVD that it takes me 10 years to find, I find it, and the next thing you know, it's on Netflix. It's like, I searched for that for 10 years. So I watched Brightburn. I was not disappointed. I thought it was awesome. I'm not going to say anything about it because I know how, I don't know, I've listened to other podcasts before that are like this episode, they're going to talk about Night of the Living Dead, but they can't help themselves. They got to talk about another movie too, and they give a spoiler. It's like, dude, if your episode is called Night of the Living Dead and you want to tell the whole movie, give all the spoilers, go ahead, but then don't throw Brightburn in there and just blindside us with a spoiler. Spoiler alert is that there's not really any spoilers for that movie, but that being said, some movies do have spoilers. Like Get Out was ruined for me. That's one. That kind of made me mad because it made it so I didn't get to fully enjoy the movie Get Out because I heard just from a smidge of what somebody said on a podcast. And the podcast was not about Get Out. They just mentioned it and they gave a little spoiler. And just from the couple words they said, I was like, I figured out the whole movie. So when I went to watch it, I was like, this sucks. Because I totally know what's going to happen. So I wish I could watch that movie for the first time. I never really got to. Tonight's movie, No Vacancy, I'm going to ruin the whole thing. Because if you haven't seen it, stop watching this and go to Tubi, good old Tubi. That's where I watched it. And watch No Vacancy. And then come back and watch this. It'll be like we watched it together. So No Vacancy came out in 2012. It's about, it's funny because I went to watch this movie because I clicked on another movie called Autopsy. And at the bottom it was like, if you like this, you might like these. And so I looked at you might like these, and I saw this and I read it and I was like, I love a horror movie that involves a road trip and shitty motels. Like, I don't know, those are kind of my favorite. Slasher, road trip, shitty motels, movies like Joyride. Love those. Those are my favorites. And so I was like, okay, I'll watch that. And then, so I start watching it, and there's a car accident, and they end up in this hospital. And I'm like, what? Why are they in a hospital? I thought they were going to be in a hotel. Well, maybe they're a motel. Maybe they're in the motel after they leave the hospital. And so I was like, how long is this movie? And I clicked on it after a while, and it was like, I was 20 minutes in. I look, and the header says autopsy, because I clicked on autopsy instead of no vacancy. And I was already invested, because like, it's a work night. So I can't just start a whole new movie. Now I got to watch this whole movie, and I got to wait till tomorrow to watch No Vacancy. So I waited till the next day to watch No Vacancy. Because that autopsy starts out the same way. There's a car accident. I don't know if there was 7 friends, but there's a car accident, and they all shall lost somewhere. So if they go to a hospital instead of a hotel. So like, I had no reason to believe I was watching the wrong movie. I mean, it was kind of weird they were spending so long. You know, like 20 minutes, we're still at the hospital. Kind of feel like this is about a hospital, because it was. 7 friends head off on a road trip. There's 7 of them. There's three couples, and then the leftover guy. The 4th, would he be the 4th wheel, or is he the 7th wheel? I don't know. But you got Jordan and Brandy is one couple. Todd and Anna is another couple. And then, no, I screwed up. Ryan and Anna is another couple. And then Todd, I hate doing names. Especially this, I know all the names. I'm just trying to remember what couples was who. So Todd is with Claire, and then Phil is the oddball because his girlfriend Julia, she's the one that planned this whole trip and arranged for it. But then at the last minute, something came up, so she couldn't go. So Phil's by himself, and Phil's got the camera, and he's filming everything. And at first, I thought, is this going to be a found footage film? Because it's not that I don't like found footage films, but I don't like starting a film and then as it starts finding out that it's a found footage film, found footage film, real. So it's not a found footage film, but I was kind of where I was like, I don't want to, I got to be in the mood for this. So they are driving along and they hit a detour. So they have to go not the intended way. And then they get a flat tire, like they lose control. They're like, did you hit something? And they look, and both the back tires are flat. So they're like, now what are we gonna do? Because they're not really, they're kind of in the desert. They're not that close to anything. So, but eventually they decide that the 4 guys, Jordan, Phil, Todd, and Ryan, are gonna leave the 3 girls, Claire, Anna, and Brandy, behind in the car because they don't want to leave the car because it's hot, which I imagine it's got to be hot just sitting in the car too. I guess the car still works though, so they can have AC if they want to roll up the windows. Take turns having it on and off or whatever. So they wait in the car, and the guys walk, and they get to a nearby tire shop where there's friendly people inside, and they're like, hey, we got some flat tires. We got a couple flat tires up that way. And they're like, really? Well, we're a tire shop. It just happens we can hook you up. We can tow it. Where is it about? And you guys look like you've been walking for a while. And we got a bar next door. It's Steve and Brad are the guys they run into. And Steve and Brad are like, you guys want a drink? They're like, all right. So they go over into the bar, and don't worry about paying for it. Don't worry about paying. It's like they're just offering up everything's free. You know, you get free drinks. We'll tow your car, and we'll get it, put some wheels on it, have you out of here in the morning. And so they're like, all right, cool. And they start drinking, and then Todd and Steve leave the bar, and they go back over. They take the tow truck to where the car is broken down, and they pick up the girls, and they bring them back to the bar, and they all just kind of party. Everything's cool. And so it starts getting late. And at one point, it is funny, they make fun of Phil. I hope I called him Phil earlier because I keep wanting to call him Seth. They make fun of Phil because he's the oddball. He's the guy whose girlfriend couldn't make it. And he's kind of the nerd, and he's recording everything, but he ordered a Sprite Zero, so they're like, you can have free drinks all you want. You ordered a Sprite. He's like, it's a Sprite Zero. And the Sprite Zeros are free too. So he's kind of like the thought whatever. So they go back to the motel because the place is very as convenient as it gets. It's a tire shop. They have flat tire connected to a bar. They like to drink because they're going to Vegas to party. And the bar is connected to a motel where they can pass out after they do all the stuff that they need to do. Perfect. The trifecta. And it's all free, which is a very good price. So they go to the motel. They each each couple goes into their own rooms, except for Phil. But there's the hot girl that works in the bar. Her name's Nora. And Nora and Phil go to his room. And so then morning comes, or actually each couple tries to like get it on, and like Jordan passes out, and Scott, there's no Scott. Ryan starts and finishes a little quick enough to run down and interrupt Claire and Todd from being able to do anything, and then he leaves. And so next thing you know, it's morning, and Phil wakes up. And I think Phil must have started drinking at some point because he's like, I don't know, like somewhat surprised that Nora's there with him. And he's like, what have I done? I have a girlfriend. So he kind of like creeps out of there and goes over to Claire and Todd's room and wakes them up. She's out there doing, and they're all like, blah, blah, blah. Why are you here so early? They're kind of hanging out, and then they're all kind of like, man, I don't really remember anything from last night. It's weird. And Phil kind of backs up and he's in the doorway. All of a sudden, an axe swings in and just chops his head clean off and drops to the floor. And Claire and Todd are just like, what the fuck? And then Brad comes walking in with James. I think it was James and Chloe, not Nora. Nora's still in her room. I don't know. Nora and Chloe look the same, okay? Especially because they're in very few scenes together, and they don't look that much different. So it's one of them. I'm pretty sure it was Chloe. I'm pretty sure Nora's still sleeping. Maybe, I don't know. It's one of them. One of the girls. And they're all just like, And they're like, you just chopped this guy's head off. And they're acting like it's no big deal. It's like, don't worry. I told him I didn't like cameras. And so the night before when they're going to sleep and they lock the door, it's kind of, you look and there's bars on the windows and everything. So as they're locking it, you kind of get this feeling. It's like, wow, that's pretty safe. You don't got to worry about it. Because as the viewer, you know they're in a horror movie. So it's like, that seems pretty safe. Nobody's going to come busting through the windows. They got a lock. But now it doesn't seem so safe because as Brad and the guys are leaving, they're like, well, we'll be right back. And they lock the door from the, I don't know how, I'm not sure why the lock is two-way. Wasn't very noticeable. Nobody questioned it. But he locks them in there. And now it doesn't seem quite as nice. Now it's kind of like, now we're in a prison. The windows are barred up. The door's locked. We have no way out of here. And it's kind of funny because the others, Jordan and Brandy, they are not locked in their room. They are tied. Jordan's tied to a chair. Brandy is bound, tied up. She's not gagged, but she's in the bathtub with her feet, wrapped together, arms wrapped up. I don't know. They might have been in her lap. So they are tied up. And then, not Scott, because there is no Scott. Ryan and Anna are both in their rooms tied up. So Claire and Todd are the only ones that are not tied up, but they're locked in their rooms, so they can't go anywhere. After we see that everybody's either locked in their room or tied to a chair or something, our not so friendly hosts turn the gas on in each of the rooms, which causes everybody to pass out. And then they're out for a little bit, and then they wake back up. And this part's weird because they wake up, and Brad and James and Matthew go into Ryan's room, and now he's got a shock collar on. He's awake, tied to his chair, and they start talking, but it's weird because like, why? I don't understand. A few things that I don't understand. Why did they gas them? Because like these guys already passed out. Part of they passed out because it was late and they were drinking. Another part was because these guys were giving them drinks that they had poisoned. Not poisoned to the point where it'd kill them. I don't know if they poisoned it, but they drugged them. I think they said poisoned in the movie, but obviously they didn't poison them because they didn't die. But they drugged the drink so that they'd pass out and so they'd forget stuff. So that they would be compromised so that they could go into the rooms and move their bodies as they needed to and tie them to chairs, tie them to beds, tie them into bathtubs, put them in a bathtub full of water without them waking up. They did all that stuff, and then when everybody wakes up, they realize like, what the fuck? Holy shit! Why are we in this situation? Then they turn on the gas, so everybody passes out again, and then they wake up, and then they come in. So it's like, was there a certain time they had to kill them? It's like, well, now we're gonna come in and kill you. It's like you didn't need to make us go to sleep because we already woke up like completely fucked. It's not like you turned on the gas and then came in and did more. I mean, yeah, they put a shock collar on him, and now Ryan's got little cuts all over him, which I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe they did that after they gassed him. And so there's a chain that goes from Anna's legs, like because her ankles are tied together and her arms are tied together. They're above her head, and she's laying on the bed. And then there's a chain that leads from the ropes on her feet out the window, and then on her arms on the other side there's a chain that leads out the other window. And it turns out the chains each lead to pickup trucks. And Todd, I keep messing up today. Todd and Claire get a little wake-up call from Chloe. This time I really do know that it's Chloe at the front desk saying, hey, wake up and watch your TV. And the TV is showing Anna, who's about to have a car accident. I don't have anything clever for what's about to happen to her. And they rev it up, they rev up the engines, and the two trucks drive away, and they rip Anna in half. And that does not sit well with Ryan, and Claire just immediately pukes. Claire's reactions to things crack me up because now that they're not realistic, they're just kind of funny. Like when she wakes up from the gas and it's like she's been touched, she just starts acting like she's got spiders on her or something. She's like, oh, they were in here, they were touching us, and then just the way she just throws up as soon as it happens. Like Claire doesn't hold back. It's funny. Ryan gets pissed. He's helpless. He's tied to his chair. He just watched his girlfriend get torn in half. There's blood everywhere. They kind of come in and scoop up, her entrails off the bed. And then Brad, bear with me, I got 13 names to remember. Brad takes some acid and starts pouring it, or like, I don't know, he like pours it into the cuts on Ryan. And it's kind of like, I don't understand. Like, why did you cut him? This is one of the things that don't make sense. Like, first of all, gassing them after they already had them compromised where they wanted them because they had already drugged them the night before, and then they gassed them. That was redundant. And then they put cuts all over him, so you think that they would pour, like, I don't know, like salt water or lemon juice or something that would sting the cuts. Like acid, if I pour acid on you, it's going to eat through your skin. Ow, it hurts no matter what. You have to go to the trouble to cut the person first. So he did that. Also, because Phil and his camera, why did Phil have the camera? Because, it's weird enough that they kind of made Phil out to be, he was kind of like the good boy by being, not single, but single in the movie. He had a girlfriend at home, but he's here anyway, and she couldn't make it. He's the nerd with the camera who's the guy, he's kind of, everybody kind of makes fun of him. He's kind of a loner just because he's not part of a couple and everybody else is. So you think he's going to live the longest, and they kill him off first. But first he has a little affair on his girlfriend, so it's like you don't totally feel bad for him because he was drinking Sprite and fucked another girl. That's weird. He doesn't deserve to get his head chopped off, but still, it's like, I don't know what they were doing with that character. But they killed him pretty quick, within 15 or 20 minutes. First guy down. So now we're down to Phil's gone, Anna's gone, which takes us to Jordan's bathroom, basically, where he and Brandy are. And he's tied one arm, like his body and one arm is tied to the chair. His other arm, I think it's like tied, it's like, I forget how it is, but it's up like this, and he's got this wire coming out of tape on his hand, and the wire is connected to like 6 car batteries, and Brandy is in the tub. He's above the tub with his hand like that, and the wire pointed at the water, and he's got like a pail on his wrist. And basically their plan is they're like, well, guess what? You're gonna kill your girlfriend. And he's like, what? He's like, yep. Because pretty soon that bucket's gonna get heavy, and there's only so long you can carry. Which is kind of funny because because he's been sitting there with his arm up like that. And I'm not sure how it's suspended, how it's elevated. But like, if you hold your arm like this for 10 minutes, whether there's a bucket full of rocks or a weight in your hand or a tube of chapstick, like your arm's gonna get tired after 15 to 20 minutes. And so he's been sitting there forever. They're trying not to like electrocute her. Then they start unloading the rocks, and they put the rocks in. Put one rock in, and his arm gets a little lower and lower and lower and lower until finally it electrocutes her. And then he's pissed, and they all laugh, and they pick her up out of the water and they take off. It's like Steve and James and Chloe, I think, was there. I know that Nora was there because Nora stays behind and just like starts antagonizing Jordan. She's just like talking shit, just like saying all this stuff, so that he says stuff back, and she gets mad and slaps him. And then he kind of like, it's the last straw, and he shoves her into the bathtub, and she falls in, and he sticks the wire in and electrocutes her. So meanwhile, in the other room, Claire gets this bright idea to turn the gas back on in her room and make it look like it's been on the entire time. She writes a note saying, turn on, I don't know, something to the effect of, the gas is still on, we're going to pass out, we're going to die. And they both pretend like they're choking. And Brad is watching the screen because they all, I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but they all got cameras and monitors in the corners of the room, so they can see what's happening outside of the room, and everybody can see what's going on inside their room. And there's like a control room where, you know, Brad, the mastermind, Brad and like Steve can watch the whole thing and control what's going on. So they rewind, they're like, what does that say? And they're like, oh, you idiot, you left the gas on. So Brad runs down there, and he walks in, and he sees Todd passed out, or pretending to be passed out. And behind the door is Claire with a full bottle of beer, and she bashes him in the back of the head, and he drops, and they get up, and they make a run for it. And they're going down the road, and a pickup comes, the car stops. It is Steve. And they remember Steve, but Steve kind of plays dumb. And he's like letting on, like, I know what's going on. Don't worry, I've called the cops. They're on their way. And, oh, but before that, Todd was kind of like, we should turn back. Because what about, because they know Anna's dead. And that's all. They didn't watch what happened with Jordan and Brandy. So he's like, we should go back for Ryan and Brandy and Jordan, because they might still be alive. And Claire's like, fuck them, let's get out of here. It's like, I don't know if they're alive or not, but I'm not going back there. And that's when Steve comes rolling up in his pickup, and he's like, okay, I called the cops. You know, we can go back and try and make sure that your friends are okay. I got nothing to do with those guys. I'm on your guys' side. I just want to help. What do you guys want to do? You want to go back there? And they're like, it's like, yeah, we got to see if our friends are alive or not. So they go, and they get out of the truck, and they start looking around. They go in the bar. Somehow Todd managed to write a note that he slips to Claire. And when him and Steve leave her in the bar, and she reads it, and it basically just says, get out, like, run, get out of there. Because Todd doesn't trust him, but he does. He wants her to be safe, but he also, if the friends are alive, he wants to save them too. So he's trying to do the right thing. And he goes to Steve. And so she wasn't in the bar yet. So she then runs into the bar. Instead of like running as far away as possible, she goes in the bar. And then Brad comes walking in. So she hides. and she's watching him like through this crack, because she's like in the back, like the like the kitchen area of the bar, like behind the bar, so she can see out. And he's just I don't know what he's doing, but he's staring at the wall for like the whole time, and she's watching him. And I'm trying to figure out, I was like, is something really weird about to happen in this movie? It's gonna just totally change what was going on in the movie. Like, are aliens gonna come through that wall? Because he's just staring at it. And then finally, he like goes to the piano for a second and plays Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. And then he leaves. And so she's like, oh, before he leaves though, he walks over to the bar, like where she's, and it looks like he's staring right at her. He's just like, and she's right there, and it's like, is there like a two-way mirror between them? Like, what's going on? And he just like, then he gets up and he just walks away. So you think, all right, she's safe for the time being. And she takes another look out, and then all of a sudden, Chloe shows up. Hey, what are you doing? For our little jump scare. And then she chases her down. She chases her out of there. When she runs out over by the gas station, because it's a gas station and a tire shop, she gets hit by Matthew with like a lug wrench or a tire iron or something. I don't know. Something that took her ass out. Elsewhere, Steve and Todd go to Jordan's bathroom and they save him. They undo him and stuff, and Steve's still playing along. Then they go back to the bar where they think Claire's supposed to be, but Claire's not there. So Steve leaves them alone for a minute. He's like, well, I'm going to run out here real quick and I'll be right back. So Jordan and Todd kind of catch up a little bit, and then Steve comes back in and he's like, you know what, I can't do this anymore. He pulls out a gun like he's going to shoot them, and they're like, all right, you're in on this. And he leads them outside, and now they got Claire is tied Anna style / Hitcher style to 2 trucks. And these trucks are tougher than the semis and the hitchers that could just tug on Jennifer Jason Leigh without actually ripping her apart, just scaring and hurting her a little bit, whereas these just tear you clean apart. And they're getting ready to rip her apart. And now we come to the point, basically, oh, and also out there, they got Ryan in that same chair. They've been lugging Ryan around this whole movie in that chair. And he's down there still cuffed to it or tied to it. And they just kind of walk up and shoot him in the head. And they're like, ah. So now we're down to just Jordan, Todd, and soon to be not Claire, because she's tied up to these 2 trucks. And Steve takes this moment to make the ultimate bad guy mistake. He has to explain why he's doing this. That way our victims get some closure, and we as viewers get to know what's going on and be like, oh, that's why he's doing it. We got clarity for everybody. So he explains about the orphanage that they all came from, which they've touched on throughout the movie, and how horrible it was, and how they were beaten and terrorized and locked in rooms, and anytime they needed help, they were just, beaten and abused. And the orphanage was owned by none other than Claire's dad. So that's why he has this little revenge plot on Claire, because even though her dad's still alive, he could try and go after him. He picks the daughter, and he's not even like filming it in a way where he can send it to the dad and be like, hey, remember me? I did this to your daughter. He's just like, I'm doing this because you're his daughter. And that's good enough. And then I'm going to go after your dad. I'm going to kill him. This is what he actually says. So I'm going to go after your dad. I'm going to kill him. Then I'm going to go after your mom, and I'm going to kill her. And that's why he's had her and Todd in that room. They are not in torturous situations, because they get to watch and go through the pain of watching all their friends die. Steve was in that orphanage until he turned 18 years old, and then he was old enough that he could leave. So once they let him go, he later came back and burned it down and saved all the other characters. Brad, Nora, James, Matthew, and Chloe. He saved all of them when he lit it on fire, but he also killed a lot of people with the same fire. So he brags about what a genius he is, and then he looks at them and says, "You're probably wondering how I knew you guys would all come here. Well, it's because Phil's girlfriend, Julia, is one of us, and she's dating him. She set the whole trip up because of us. The detour, we set up the detour. Your flat tires, we laid a strip down." I don't know how they popped only the back 2 tires. Seems like if you lay down a strip, you're going to either pop all the tires or none of the tires, or maybe 1 tire, but I don't know. But it was them. And then they went to the tire place and they killed everybody. This is really elaborate plan. They killed all the people at the tire place. They killed all the people that worked at the bar. They killed everybody that ran the motel. And I don't know if it was all like one family that owned the whole thing or what, but they're all dead now. And they took it over as their elaborate plan to get revenge on Claire's dad through Claire and her friends. So as he's almost done explaining this and ready to tear Claire in half, Nora comes walking out a little too close to Jordan, and Jordan just grabs her in some kind of weird chokehold, and he's like, "I'm gonna break her fucking neck. I'm gonna break her neck. Drop your guns and get down and let Claire go." And the orphan gang, they're all just like, "Oh, whoa." They drop the guns, they just start untying her. They're, "You leave her alone, don't break her neck." And they all get down, just like that. There's like Nora was that important to them that this whole elaborate thing just got called off as soon as some dude grabbed her by the neck. They didn't even try and it's like, "Brad, you have a gun. You could have done something." And they're just like, "All right, just don't kill her." And then Jordan he's like, "If I kill you, I'm no better than you." And he just punches her. And then they run off. Steve and Matthew catch up with the 3 of them inside the bar. And Jordan starts off fighting Matthew, and then Todd finishes it and just old school, just hands on the throat, just chokes him to death. And Steve starts it. I think actually Steve came in a little bit after, so it was always 2-on-1. And I don't remember what they did to Steve, but they kind of took him out. And then Brad comes walking in, but Claire's got his gun, and he comes walking in he's trying to play the innocent card again. It's like, "Hey man, I have a choice. These guys," it's like, "You just explained that you're the mastermind." And now he's like, hey, I'm not like them." And so Claire's like, "Yeah, you are." And she shoots and nicks his arm. He's like, "All right, well then." And then she shoots again, shoots him in the chest, and he drops. And the 3 of them leave. And then it shows 6 months later. And it shows this it's in a deli or something, and Brad and Steve are inside working, and some guy walks in and orders something, and they're like, "Oh, all right, coming right up." And then they kind of look at each other, and that's basically the end of the movie. We don't find out what happens to Claire and Todd and Jordan, and it's set up for some kind of weird, unnecessary sequel. I was like, what was that? They're working, I don't care about them. What happened to the others? And I don't really care about the others either. I mean, I kind of do. I don't know. The movie was okay. It was just kind of, I don't know, it was good. I read some reviews and people were complaining. They were like, "This is and normally I don't really, sometimes I'll read reviews, but I don't like to because I don't want it to affect my opinion of what's going on." And somebody was complaining. They're like, "This is like Saw meets The Hitcher meets something else." And it's like, "Oh, I don't really think it's like those movies. The traps weren't that elaborate, and it was, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a stretch." And The Hitcher, other than the Chucks trying to rip girls apart, there's nothing else in common with it. I mean, it wasn't very much of a road movie like I had hoped, but it was still, it had the motel, it had the darkness and the creepy people. And the thing I liked about the bad guys, it kind of annoyed me at first. At first it annoyed me because the bad guys looked so much, you had to pay attention because the bad guys and the good guys didn't look that much different. The bad guys looked like they could have been hanging out. They could have been part of the group. which in a way was kind of cool about it because it's showing that these bad people that, you know, they hide among us. They look just like us, but deep down they're monsters type thing. So I didn't really have a problem with that. I thought overall it was good. It was good for like a little free movie, for a Tubi movie. The Badass Award goes to Jordan for being a black guy and making it to the end of the movie. That, and he had the most kills because he killed Nora and his girlfriend, and he could have killed Chloe, but he didn't. So he almost had 3. So the only person close to him was Todd. Todd had 1. What did we learn? Survival tips! Always question free stuff. Be careful who you date. Never drink a drink you didn't mix yourself.